So we'll say a bit about gratitude this morning because as we were sitting, this gratitude just welled up for the opportunity to have these experiences together. Who gets this? Not very many people. And yet maybe a lot of people we don't know because our media has no interest or awareness of these experiences. But we can be extremely grateful that we get to participate in a life bigger than our daily experience. Because we all know from the experience we just had that there is power generated as we change our attention. All we have to do is change the focus of our attention, and our experience is entirely different. How amazing is that? We change the focus of our attention, and our experience is entirely different. What does that say about what it is to be a human being? And so it's worth the effort to become a human being, not just a human doing. Because when our doing is informed by our being, that changes our world and every life that our life touches. So this is the responsibility that comes with awareness, is that we practice that awareness and it's our experience that it is a never-ending expansion that we can cultivate in ourselves that brings us great peace. Not every second. We all have darkness to go through to access that great peace, unless we're extremely, extremely lucky. But we're already extremely, extremely lucky to be here and doing this, experiencing this. And understanding the benefits of cultivating it. Otherwise, what are we? Reaction machines. To understand that at any second, you can stop the reaction with one breath and change the focus of your attention. And when that happens, there's an immediate shift. The interesting thing is that we are all dynamic systems. So we're constantly changing. As we become more aware inside ourselves, we can participate in that change. That's the difference that happens. And we can make conscious decisions rather than living from reaction. We can begin to guide our life to a life that serves our happiness and everybody else's. And there are periods of every day and periods of every life where withdrawing our attention from the external world is helpful. And that withdrawal is called meditation. Which is really the study of our inner world, which becomes the study of the inner world. The deeper we go, the less personal. And the less personal, the less reactive. Anybody want to ask a question? Or share an experience? Yes. Yes.
I have a question.
Yes. Hi.
I if we're feeling blocked in our clarity, how to get that clarity, whether that's a decision or just, an issue in our life.
Well, interestingly, when we have an issue that we want to solve, and we're not speaking about you personally, but human beings in general, we think that if we think about it long enough, the solution will come to us. And if you notice yourself in that situation, the thinking tends to be kind of circular because there's rarely any new input. So the first thing to do is stop thinking. And the easiest way to do that is to take your attention, as we did in the very beginning, take your attention below your belly button and allow all that energy in the head. And we're not speaking specifically to you as though this is, something new, but we're speaking generally what needs to happen to literally allow your mind to change, allow our minds to change, is when we take our attention to a different place, to a deeper place, and ground ourselves in that. And then ask the question from that place, what is the highest best? And in asking, we are asking the highest best itself to show us the way. And then we just make space in ourselves, as we did through the meditation. And we wait to be informed, understanding that that information rarely comes in the moment that we ask the question. It'll come while we're folding our laundry or mowing the grass, some other mundane task where we allow our mind to relax, and suddenly the answer will be there, and we'll know because we feel the rightness of it. And until we feel the rightness of a choice, it's okay to wait. It means it's not the right time to make a choice. And once we feel that rightness, move. And if we haven't felt that, then maybe we're looking in with too narrow a vision. Maybe we're not allowing the true option to be seen. Maybe what we're considering is too small. So we have to ask the question in a bigger way. What's the purpose of my life? And when we can ask a question like that and then just let go, our whole life can reorganize. And that's terrifying. It's terrifying to a human being to do that. Because then all the what ifs come in. So we can say this: every single human being is of divine origin. And the experience of that divinity is as close as our breath. It is not some guy out there telling us what to do. guy or girl. It is our inherent birthright to be connected to that divinity, which is the source of our life itself. And that divinity contains within it everything we ever need to know to live a completely fulfilling life. And the thing that human beings most generally miss is that fulfillment begins with contact with the depth of our source. And so whenever making any decision, the question to ask is, will this give me more contact with that which is my source? And then feel and feel and feel and feel and feel. If the answer is yes, go. The answer is maybe, wait. And there are divine signals you could refer to as omens. And they have to do, divine communication has to do with synchronicity. Spontaneous events that point us in a certain direction that we're already pointed in, but they're like affirmations from outside. And they're generally very simple. You know, you have a certain feeling about something that you're not 100% sure of. And then suddenly there's a bouquet of flowers that drop from a tree in the center of the hood of your car. That's just beautiful. And that's the kind of thing we're talking about. Things that make you feel, experiences that make you feel more deeply the alignment with that which is our source. And we learn to feel within ourselves that guidance. You know, often these experiences of being lost in the wilderness, and we'll not apply that to you. It's just that you asked the question. This is a universal human experience of feeling lost and like we don't know what to do next. When this happens, we just let go and ask to be shown. We hold so tight to doing the right thing that we block our access to that which can inform us. And understand, for each one of us, it's the terrible experiences and the giant mistakes we've made that have taught us the most. Each one of us can testify to that in one way or another. So there's no such thing really as a bad decision. And for a lot of us, the issue becomes one of self-confidence. And confidence is something that comes with repetition of experience. So the important thing is to cultivate experience that feels right. And the more that happens, the more right experience is attracted. And the less it happens, the more it's an indication that maybe that's not the right way to go. Life is always informing us. And we always have an agenda. Sometimes it's the best agenda for us, and sometimes it's not. So it's a good idea to ask. And, this is hard for all of us. We told Rebecca to study astrology for 5 years before she even cracked a book. Because sometimes what comes is completely unexpected and not in alignment with a previous matrix of belief. So it takes a while to reorganize oneself. So we're telling you the answer is really within you and that you can't do it wrong. Life will always inform you in one way or another. And that the real issue is to keep paying attention inside so that you're cultivating that very source, which has put you here in the first place. And the truth is that the purpose of every life is knowing God. And, we're all as ready or unready for that as we have chosen to be in this moment. And it means something different to most of us also. And we're allowed that difference. We're each unique. There's nobody here who's the same as anybody else. So our path to that access will be slightly different. Although the common thing is that to really know God, you just know yourself deeper and deeper and deeper, and that's self with a capital S. And that self is within. What we are searching for is not to be found outside of us. It doesn't exist there. And most of the world is trying to convince us that it does exist out there. But who has ever found anything but momentary fulfillment in external experience? Yes, there are moments of joy when we get what we want. And how long does it last? Till we don't get what we want. But where is that real that real connection to love itself. Where is that to be found? And when one is in contact with that, then the difference between getting what we want and not getting what we want is like the difference between a wave that goes like this and a wave that goes like this. Because we understand their ways, and the next one is probably going to give us what we want, and the next one probably won't. And we're all old enough to have experienced many, many of those waves. But the true answers to these questions are within us. And we are constantly uncovering deeper layers of ourselves by committing ourselves to external experience and learning from it. And this is why we say there are no really bad decisions, because whatever decisions we make, we get the feedback. And we are constantly, by our experience, evoking feedback. And that feedback, when we continuously bring it deeply within ourselves, informs us whether our alignment with that, which is our source, is growing or shrinking. And if it's growing, we keep going in that direction. If it's shrinking, we have to try something different. And this doesn't mean abandoning practical reality. In some way, every teaching says, give Caesar Caesar's due. We still have to pay taxes. We still have to pay rent or mortgage or whatever. We still have to buy food. We still have to cook it. These things don't go away because we cultivate a deeper connection. The quality of how we do these things generally improves as we are seeking deeper connection. And life generally gives us a way to have time to continue to cultivate that which is our source as we're headed in that direction. But we all know there are periods where external life gets very intense. And life itself is a series of expansions and contractions. And expansion in one way is contraction in another way. And contraction in the other way is expansion in another way. So, everything is a dynamic system. Nothing stays the same. Which is why we can't make one decision and have it hold for life, unless that decision is to focus inside with as much consistency as we can and serve the growth of that. We can make that decision and come back to it every day. But even that, we have to remake that decision every day to hold it. And one thing is that we can create habits. It takes 21 days to make a habit. So we can create a time that we, sit with an alarm clock and meditate for 15 or 20 minutes and do that every day for 21 days. And then we have a habit. And then we're building our own contact with that, which is the deepest within us. How may we serve further? We hope that answered your question. We kind of went everywhere.
Thank you. I
You're
appreciate
so
it.
welcome.
Just a general question about take on, people who can't or are unwilling or unable to change or just not ready to change. And sort of so even acts of kindness can be twisted into hostility or and really the best way to be in that circumstance.
So the question is how to be with people who are unwilling or unready or unable, whatever the case is, to change, and are, in sort of a negative soup. And any kind of stimulus evokes hostility. How to be with those people. Is that ourselves when we really want to love those people. And of course, we really want them to change. And yet we know that fundamentally change can only come from the person themselves. So when you know that any stimulus is going to provoke hostility, best to lay low. Because this is how things end for good. Because when a person's only capable of hostility, they're very good at endings. And so you can understand that the way to participate in the flow, since there isn't any, is to not create any stimulus. That's the least most that you can do until there's a change. And as we just said, everything is a dynamic system that changes. And this is, the place of tough love. Because when a system can only come up with negativity, then it has to hit the place where within that system the decision is made that a change has to take place and they have to move toward something better. So they have to contract and contract and contract and contract and contract until they make that change. This is the hitting bottom that they talk about in addiction circles. And this is what it is. It's a case of addiction to negativity. You know, they have the idea that if they contract enough, they'll not be hurt anymore. Or something, some version of that. And until they reach the point where they recognize that they have to change, that there's got to be a better way. Some thought like that has to come in. And if they come to you from that perspective, then there's something to work with. But before that, it's just going to be hostility, and any input will just provoke more of that. So best to lay low. And they'll come to you when they're ready for some change, because they know that you've made a change like that in yourself at some point. They may not understand that everybody has to come to that point within themselves where they decide there's a better way. We've all had that experience, every single one of us, or we wouldn't be sitting where we are today. We consciously said, we have to do something different because what we've been doing doesn't work. This is not abandoning. This is, in a way, in a very important way, holding space for that which in the person that wishes to change. So every time we think of them, we send that wish for them. The wish for you to choose love. And we send love with that wish. So we're no longer condemning the person for their choice, but we are cultivating the love within them. And this is also a place where we can go to the Inasa temple and say to their higher self, we wish for you to choose love inside yourself so that we can be friends. Simple. We don't have to say more than that. That way we are sending the highest, best wish that we can. And our love is that, it's part of that wish. So it's not that we're powerless. We cannot act in the field of material reality. We can only act in the ether with our love. That's all we have to offer in any case, in this moment, with a person in that stage. And we just see it for what it is. It's a stage of growth. You know, it's actually a very powerful place because the person is reaching the point of ultimate contraction where they will shift into this decision to find something higher and better. But in this state where every stimulus is met with hostility, there's lots of drama. And it's best if we don't engage that. Because then our energy is being misused because it becomes part of the drama. So best to stay in the Inasa temple, sending our best wishes. And you know, this is the choice that many monks make and nuns, that they don't want to participate except to wish for the highest best for the world. And that choice has so much power. It's probably what's keeping us alive, probably what's keeping humanity alive. The prayers and good wishes. Of those who have dedicated their lives to that. And with our dedication to our inner work, we are aligning with that flow that is being cultivated on this planet at all times. So we're not powerless, but it's best not to act in the material dimension. There are times to act, like Arjuna in the battlefield. There are times when you have to go to battle. But, you know, when you have a choice, better to avoid the drama. Because drama and trauma go hand in hand. So if you have the decision available not to participate, best to choose that. Sometimes for one reason or another, you don't really have a choice. But always love is your guide. And how to inspire that love in the other person. And mostly it's hands off, stay in the Inasa temple. Does that answer your question? We went on a retreat last weekend and I think we came back taller. Everything's fitting differently this morning. How may we serve? Anything?
We just spoke of as the perfect segue to the heaviness that we can feel of all things happening in the news, we see so much violence and sadness, and to keep that spirit of hope alive, keeping ourselves in a more peaceful place, just trying to spread what we can. How do we not sink the heaviness of the violence so close to home and far away?
So we would say this question is, how do we hold ourselves when everything we see around us, especially in the media, is full of violence and drama and trauma? So we have a few things to say about that. First of all, drama and trauma is what attracts people to media. If it were about love, peace, joy, and gratitude, people wouldn't watch for very long. Because in the dimensions of materiality, it's drama and trauma that attracts people. So the first thing we say about that is monitor your own participation in the awareness of that level of human interaction. Because in the same way that we are what we eat as food, we are what we eat as energy. So if we spend our energy in drama and trauma on the screen, we're eating drama and trauma. And that's a part of our frequency that we're feeding. So, you know, entertainment, which is what even the news is, beyond the awareness of whatever we can take out of it, beyond the awareness of whatever we can take out of it as fact, becomes drama and trauma, because that's what captivates people. So we try to be like the Hamsa bird, which can take the cream out of water when it's dissolved in water. The Hamsa bird can drink the cream and leave the water. Well, in that way, we get enough information to, as much as we can, know the facts of what's happening. It's always difficult, especially now when we're completely bombarded, and most of us choose one side of news that we're going to listen to versus another side. They're sort of two political sides. So we take in some, but we guard our inner awareness so that it doesn't become overwhelmed with the negativity. Because we have to understand that's all being projected from screens. We don't really know the truth. We listen to what we agree with for the most part. But we keep our own counsel. And love is our guide in our heart of hearts. And so at some point in every day, we come back to cultivating that. And in that, we find a certain freedom from the drama and trauma. And we know that if there's something real we need to pay attention to, that we'll be made aware of it in a way that we can't deny it. But the stuff on the screens is not our guide to what's really happening. And we monitor how much we become that. And that way we can have clarity when we make our choices, voting and things like that. And how much we're going to participate where. We hope that's helpful. So we're coming to our meditation point. We are so happy to be here with you. Mm. So let's go into meditation again. And this time we won't guide, we'll just be there with you. Thank you so much for coming. We've so enjoyed being with you today. Have a wonderful week. And we'll see you Wednesday, Sunday, or both. So much love. Bye for now.